UFC 270 and Ngannou versus Gane weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Looking forward to going through this card after seeing each fighter on the scales. Should be a blast. Smash that like button if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and turn those post notifications on. We got a sweet pay-per-view card this weekend. I'll be doing the Fight Companion live on the channel for it. Make sure to tune into that. And let's jump right into this weigh-in recap. We will start it off with Hansen and Jasmine Jasudavicius. Earlier in the week, I was on Jasudavicius as an underdog. I feel like she has some valuable attributes to potentially come through, one especially being bigger girl naturally. Looking at them on the scales, Hansen looking pretty decent, you know, normal frame. Jasudavicius there, not shown as the ceremonial weigh-ins. They faced off. You can see the size differential favoring Jasudavicius. Nothing has changed my pick here. I like the plus money. I'm definitely going dog on this one. I think Jasudavicius can fight well in the close range and also from distance have some advantages in the striking. I do believe Hansen may be a bit quicker than her, but the range advantage makes up for that deficiency. I like Jasudavicius. I'm expecting a hard-fought fight over the 3 rounds, maybe even split decision, but I like her to win a decision. Looking at the odds for this one, Hansen minus 210, Jasudavicius plus 200. If I had to give you a prop to play on this one that wasn't just, you know, a fight goes the distance play, it's minus 225. Definitely could come through, but I'll go towards a prop for a fighter. Jasudavicius decision plus 325. If she is to win, I feel that is the most likely method of victory. Let's keep on running up. Next fight, some more ladies going at it. Vanessa Demopoulos and Silvana Gómez Juárez. Earlier in the week, the pick, Vanessa Demopoulos for the win. She is also a favorite as well. There is Matt Frevola. They got the wrong order here, but there's Silvana Gómez Juárez. Looking decent on the scales, thinner, definitely a thinner frame than Demopoulos. You'll see Demopoulos there, a lot more muscle mass. When you saw them face off, you see a little bit of the height advantage, just slightly towards Gómez Juárez. I think she'll be deficient in the strength category 100%. When they get in the clinch, it's Demopoulos all day. I see Demopoulos being the faster and more explosive girl. I still am on Demopoulos for the win, and the value really isn't bad here. She's sitting at minus 130, minus 131. I mean, you find her even at minus 145. I don't think it's a bad play at all. On the money line last night, Mike Finch said Demopoulos is his lock of the night, so something else to take in. I'm also on Demopoulos for the victory, and I think minus 130 is a pretty decent tag. I do think she wins potentially by submission, but I don't know if I want to jump out and prop it up. I like money line here, but if we had to go props and you say, listen, I want to play Demopoulos win via submission, it is plus 560. It's pretty amazing value right there. You can play it around the plus 500 range. It would be a sprinkle prop. Don't go too crazy with it. I could see the fight going to 3 rounds, though I definitely see Demopoulos getting it done. Very fun ladies matchup. Next one, Matt Frevola and Genaro Valdéz. I expect a battle between these two. Valdéz comes to fight. We saw that on the Contender Series. Mexican fighter, trains alongside Moreno, so he's got that savage Mexican grit. I am still on Frevola, or at least earlier in the week I'm on Frevola. Now, we'll check them out on the scales to see if anything changes. I have mentioned Frevola and Valdéz as a potential dog upset play, but as far as the official pick, I'm just having a hard time picking against Frevola because nothing on the scales is telling me to switch the pick. Valdéz is live. It is a less than confidence pick in Matt Frevola. I do think he gets it done. At the value you're looking towards the betting lines at, Frevola, minus 185, best value. I don't know if I'm playing that. Personally, I'd sit out. Genaro Valdéz is a dog that could come through. Frevola has been stopped. He got knocked down in 8 seconds by McKinney in the last one, but he's also gone distance with guys. Does have a win over Violent Bob Ross a while back. I like Frevola to win by a decision, but Valdéz is live here. Not going to be playing the bets on this one. Let's say you were on the Valdéz side and you want to go inside the distance. Value of that plus 255. Frevola to win via decision. That would be sitting at plus 205 best value. More likely you'll find it around like plus 150. Decent play, but personally not loving any money on Frevola, especially coming off of that 8-second knockout, but I will pick him to win by decision. Keep on running up. Next fight of the night, Della Maddalena versus Pete Rodriguez. This is a fun matchup here. I saw Pete Rodriguez on the scales, right? And it gives you almost like a Mike Perry vibe with the way his style looks, the way his hair is red, and he's got the tattoos all over him. He looks like an intense fighter. I'm excited to see what he can do inside the UFC level competition. Della, earlier in the week, is the pick. He's a huge favorite coming in here. We'll look at them on the scales. There is Gravely. The order's way out of whack here, but there's Della looking good. There is Pete Rodriguez. When you saw them face off, and like you can't fully see Rodriguez's frame here. I don't know why MMA Junkie's a little bit off with the picks this week. They're a little high up. But he's not super lean, especially at the ceremonials. When these two faced off, you see the size advantage in favor of Della. I feel like he's going to be more physically fit. He's ready for the long distance here. Pete Rodriguez coming in, short notice. He's a scrappy opponent. 4-0. That's not a lot of experience. I'm picking 10-2 experience, quality boxing. I expect a battle. I think Pete Rodriguez comes at Della hard, and I think Della ends up knocking him out in the first or second round. I like KO for Della Maddalena. And if you are playing bets on this one, it's not really worth it money line because it's minus 315 for Della. Pete Rodriguez plus 280. That's not terrible if he has like some type of real puncher's chance, but I don't think that he has much of that shot, man. I'm just not confident in Rodriguez as an underdog. He could obviously land a big punch, but I think Della Maddalena knocks him out. For the knockout prop, which I don't know why all week long it hasn't been on fightodds.io, so I'll jump to best fight odds for the moment and we'll get them. Let's see if we find it. Della, Pete Rodriguez. Maddalena wins KO. Minus 120 is around the value you're looking at there. Doesn't get me jumping with excitement necessarily. And personally, I'm not craving the touch of that one all that much because, I mean, picking method of victory is tricky, especially this fight. Let's say Rodriguez can survive the 3. I think Della Maddalena gets the knockout, but I don't love the value of the prop there. But I'm still picking him as a very confident winner here. But odds to play money line, not feeling it. Next one, Tony Gravely and Saimon Oliveira. This is a good, exciting bantamweight fight. Oliveira is a scrappy dude coming in from the Contender Series. He brings a good Muay Thai-esque style. Gravely has a good wrestling base. He's an explosive puncher. He's a fast guy. He's going out there taking on Oliveira, who has some potential holes in the game as well. I mean, on the Contender Series, we do remember that takedown attempt that Daniel Cormier shafted that was like telegraphed from, 2 states away, he said, or something like that. Tony Gravely has a wrestling base. That's not going to work with him. Earlier in the week, the pick is Gravely. We now go into, how they look on the scales. There is Oliveira. There is Gravely. And when they faced off, there wasn't anything swaying me towards changing the pick from Tony Gravely. I think he goes out there and gets it done, and he probably does it by a decision, but I do expect it to be fun. I think it's an impressive performance, but I think that Oliveira survives the length of the fight. He is dangerous with his grappling, so let's say Gravely gets a little crazy, takedowns are shot, and maybe not a ton of respect for the submission game he's going opposed to. I think Oliveira could lock up a neck. But if Gravely fights with an intelligent game, he wins this fight. Gravely for the win. And betting side of things, he's minus 235. Really, it's minus 234, but I'll round up. Plus 207, plus 205, really, Oliveira. If you're towards playing with a good amount of cash, I'd say you can money line him. Is he mildly concerning? I would say yes, just if he fights carelessly. I think Gravely wins via decision, plus 158 there, plus 155, depending where you're at. You can even find it low, plus 100. I wouldn't play it at plus 100. I would rather money line Gravely at the higher price tag than touch the props. That's my take on this fight here, and I do think Gravely does get the win. Let's keep on moving up. We have more fights. We have the next one, Hani Barcelos and Victor Henry. It's also the featured prelim of the night. I am intrigued by this fight. I'm excited to see what Barcelos can do, fighting a guy who should be lower level than him. Victor Henry isn't at his level. Barcelos beat Said Nurmagomedov, who's now on the main card in a big opportunity spot against Cody Stamann. Barcelos has a win over him. Is he not being marketed much? I feel like he isn't. He's not getting that push by the UFC all that much. And you know what? It's because he's nearly 35 and he's a bantamweight. But he still has a very good skill set. He looks like a savage. We'll check him out on the scales. Earlier in the week, he's the pick. Every time I've broken this fight down, Barcelos is the pick. Let's look at them on the scales here. There is Barcelos. And there is Victor Henry. I like the long hair for Henry. The face-off was pretty decent. I mean, it was Barcelos, similar size. Doesn't have the crazy long hair covering him, but he's coming out with the blonde, which I think is a pretty sick look for him. I'm expecting a dangerous Barcelos to control this fight everywhere it goes, and he probably wins a unanimous decision. If he gets a finish, that's much better for his stock. That shoots him a lot higher. Winning via decision here is not going to get people jumping up and down for Barcelos. But if he puts a beating on Victor Henry, that's what he has to do, I think. Henry also a guy never been stopped throughout his professional career. So that's something to note. He's not an easy guy to put away. You put him away, though he's not a super known guy, you beat a guy that's never been finished. That's a valuable asset. I got Barcelos for the win. If you're playing betting on this one, I want to throw down on Barcelos minus 450, plus 415. I say don't. But if that's what you want to do and you're throwing a good amount at it, it's your personal decision. Go for it. Barcelos, the props, I think, get dangerous here because I think he has any way to win this fight is his way to win this fight. He really has multiple paths to victory. You could lock up a sub, you could get a knockout, or he could win by decision. Barcelos has power. He's got good jiu-jitsu, and he does have the ability to go long. Maybe not the best endurance in the game, but not a bad shape fighter. I think Barcelos clearly wins, but the bet is just not one I'm craving. Minus 450. Do you want to touch over 1.5 minus 170? If I have to give you one, I'm clicking over 1.5 minus 170, but I'm not liking props in this featured prelim of the night here. But let's keep on running because we got more action, but Barcelos is the official pick. Just not loving playing the betting side of things on this one. Barcelos should run through Victor Henry in any aspect that he wants to. But let's keep on running. The main card, we have arrived. If you guys have not yet smashed the hell out of that like button, we unfortunately lost Rodolfo Vieira versus Wellington Turman and Ilia Topuria and Charles Jourdain. That sucks, but that is what it is. We still have a fun fight to start off this main card. It is Michael Morales versus Trevin Giles. Earlier in the week, the pick is Morales. He's a damn hot prospect on the rise. I really expect good things out of him in the future. Can he get past the stern test in Trevin Giles, who also looked incredible on the scales? We'll look at the fighters here. There's Michael Morales looking good. There is a lean Trevin Giles fighting at 170. Is he going to be better? I think he is better suited for 170. Michael Morales is in for a difficult fight. I still believe he finds a way to win a decision. His striking is pretty decent, very strong in the clinch, does have judo. I think he could work towards some trips and throws from the clinch, which I think can stifle the game of Trevin Giles. If you're just doing basic wrestling on Giles or jiu-jitsu style takedowns, I don't think it's super effective, but I think a surprising attack from in the clinch, different throws, this is where Morales is going to get his game going well. Also, from range, his striking is advantageous. Though Giles has like a unique karate-esque style and he's very light-footed, I don't think it's easy to get inside of a guy who's the same height as you, but bringing in a pretty serious 5-inch reach advantage and uses it decently well. I think Morales' stand-up should be on display a bit here. I think Giles is a difficult fight. I think we're going 3 rounds. I'm liking Michael Morales win by decision, but I will say Giles looked really good on the scales, better than he ever has, better than I expected from him, and that gives me some more confidence like in Giles as a fighter overall, but in this matchup, so it has to like make it like, damn, Michael Morales is in for a fight. So if he's not the prospect I'm thinking he is, he could get in trouble, but I still expect him to perform and win. I'm going Michael Morales for the victory. If you're playing bets on this fight, minus 112, minus 110 range, best value Morales, plus 100, plus 102 for Trevin Giles. Let's see what else we can do here. Morales wins decision, plus 215. Over 1.5, minus 315. Over 2.5, -175. I like Morales money line around that -125 range. That's what I'll be playing on this fight here. And I'm going with Michael Morales to beat the longtime veteran Trevin Giles in this matchup. Next one, it is Cody Stamann and Said Nurmagomedov. This is a very fun fight. You have a dangerous wrestler in Cody Stamann with incredible pressure. He's in fantastic shape. The man is jacked and shredded out, especially at this 125-pound weight class. He's still pretty thick. On the opposite side, he has a rangy striker that's very fast, does have a decent wrestling defensive game, can kick really well, but can he keep Stamann off of him, especially fight being 3 rounds? A lot of forward pressure will be coming from Stamann. I think Said Nurmagomedov needs to make his shot sting Stamann. He needs to put a little bit of extra pepper behind them, and Stamann needs to respect a little bit of the power, because if he doesn't, he's going to be chain wrestling all night. And Nurmagomedov could find himself in a bit of trouble there. Earlier in the week, the pick is Nurmagomedov. I've been confident in him. Looking at the fighters on the scales, there is Cody Stamann. You can see some of the musculature in the traps and the delts there. And then there is Said. Unfortunately, we're not getting great shots from MMA Junkie. But what I will tell you is when they faced off, there's a clear-cut height difference that favors Said. But there is a clear-cut muscularity difference that favors Cody Stamann. He definitely has more strength and muscle size. I mean, I guess he has more muscle size. Does he necessarily have more strength? I'll say he does, because he has a better wrestling base. But I still think Said can find a way to fight from distance, and make Stamann respect your power a bit. I expect him to do so. I'll go Said Nurmagomedov for the win, but Cody Stamann is live here. And seeing how good shape he showed up in, he's not coming here to lose this fight. He's coming here to win and become a ranked contender on the rise. He's taken a couple losses. He knows he's in like one of those must-win spots. Very difficult fight against Said Nurmagomedov. The value of the betting side of things, Nurmagomedov -181. You're looking at like +166, +165 Stamann. Nurmagomedov, man, I think he wins a decision. But I will say, Stamann looked incredible on the scales, and that's something I respect. He's a guy coming in that good of shape, shredded to the bone. Like, he's not coming here to make this an easy fight. I think Nurmagomedov is in for difficulty. +115 Nurmagomedov decision. Maybe you want to play it. If you're on the opposite side and you want to play Stamann, you think he's a dog that can come through, +175. It's possible. If you want to get a little crazy, you go Stamann wins by decision. You're looking at +250. The value is still fairly close, even for the prop there, because I mean, I'd expect it to be a little bit wider with him being, the significant underdog. But I guess it's because they know most likely if Stamann is to win, it's probably decision. Should be a hell of a fight. Said's in for a real test here against Cody Stamann. I will pick Said Nurmagomedov to win by decision. The next one is the featured bout of the night. Michel Pereira versus Andre Fialho. This is fantastic welterweight striking action. You have chaos and unpredictability versus a real skilled striker who uses the basics well, technical, keeps the hands up, doesn't do the crazy stuff, but Pereira has built his game over just doing chaos and being able to find his way inside, landing good shots, doing these chaotic flips, spins, jumps off the cage. But it is to continue with an unpredictable game that can lead to openings. You look at the fighters on the scales, and let's say earlier in the week, the pick is Pereira for the win. He looked good. He looked ready to rock. Fialho looks decent and ready to go. I don't think the scales have much to do with this fight. Both guys are in shape and ready to go. But I think that Pereira's unpredictability is what's going to drive him in this fight. He's going to be too hard to read. Fialho's going to be doing basic techniques. Pereira's going to be doing next level techniques. Of course, if he gets careless and overzealous, he could get caught, but I just don't see it being that likely. I think Pereira goes out, wins a unanimous decision over Andre Fialho, but a knockout shoots his stock up a lot more. So I'm hoping for a KO for Pereira, but I will pick him to win by a decision. Let's look at the betting side. It's huge. -264, +240 Fialho. I mean, Pereira's a huge favorite now. Let's see. We want to go Pereira wins a decision. I'm not really liking it, but it is +220. If Fialho somehow won by KO, it's +400. I don't see it. Over 1.5, -145. I think that might be the sneaky prop. That would be the prop I'll pick if I have to give you one. Is going to be Pereira, Fialho, over 1.5 as a little bit of a surprise. I mean, yes, one of them could get knocked out, but I feel like it's unlikely that it happens that fast. I think it's going a little bit later here, and I'm personally thinking decision for Michel Pereira. Good fight. And the co-main event of the evening, Brandon Moreno and Deiveson Figueiredo. Earlier in the week, when I broke this one down, the pick is Brandon Moreno. They've had some fun back and forth, a little bit of trash talking by Figueiredo. I love the way, he was talking at the press conference. He's got that thick accent. He's got his grill on, the shades. This guy looked like a super villain or something out of a damn horror movie. Brandon Moreno, the good guy, laughing, making funny faces on the opposite side. Like, there's so much to love with this matchup because it really is like antithesis, opposites here. There is Moreno, who's just a chill dude, loves to fight, and then you got Figueiredo, the true war style. And obviously, different backgrounds where they grew up, define who they are. And I mean, Figueiredo wants the belt back. Moreno, as champion, it's easier to be having a fun time when you just dominated the guy you're fighting next versus Figueiredo coming back from not necessarily getting embarrassed, but getting clearly beat down by Brandon Moreno. Let's look at the fighters on the scales. There is Figueiredo, shredded to the bone, 124. Made that weight on the money. There is Brandon Moreno, looking good. He's lean, ready to rock. The face-off was intense. You got a little middle finger from Deiveson Figueiredo. He's ready to go. He's ready to give it to Brandon Moreno, but I don't think it is enough. I feel like Brandon Moreno is an engine here. He's not going to stop. I think Figueiredo gasses. I think Moreno finishes him late. I'm going 4th round submission for Brandon Moreno, and I do think he has a high likelihood of coming through as a bet too. -172, so around the -170-ish range for Brandon Moreno. If you're looking to play him, Deiveson Figueiredo about +158, +155 on the opposite side. Looking at the props, if you like my idea of Moreno by submission, that's going to be sitting at about +300, which is pretty good value. If you're like, listen, I want to play the fight like going over 2.5 rounds, you're looking at -160, that's decent. Over 3.5, -110, but I do see it happening some point in the 4th round, but that could definitely be a casher. Fight enters round number 4 is -130. That's not bad either. I do think we're probably going into the later stages, but I think Moreno does get it done in round 4. If you're feeling like a wild man, you could go Moreno wins in round 4 for +1700, but I don't know. It's more of a real Hail Mary style play. I like Brandon Moreno for the win. I think he beats Deiveson Figueiredo and ends the rivalry. Comes out on the trilogy on top 2-0-1. Moreno for the win over Deiveson Figueiredo. Should be a great fight, great storyline, one that I cannot wait for, and I'm super excited to be live for the entire thing. And let's jump to the main event. If you have not yet, smash the hell out of that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and turn those post notifications on. It's Francis Ngannou, Ciryl Gane for heavyweight supremacy. Who is the baddest man on the planet, period? Because this is the fight to determine it. Ngannou has looked like a monster. He's on an absolute streak of knockouts. He turned his career far around after the disappointing fight against Derek Lewis and the loss to Stipe Miocic prior to that. Absolute tear. Goes out there, beats Cain Velasquez. I mean, we can look at the past few. Curtis Blades starts it off, then Cain Velasquez, and then he beats Junior Dos Santos, and then he takes out Jairzinho Rozenstruik quickly, and then he beats Stipe Miocic, the claimed GOAT heavyweight, regardless of if you believe that or not, heavyweight champion that is, defended the belt the most amount of times. Ciryl Gane on the opposite side is 10-0. He's a perfect fighter. This guy barely gets hit. He fights extremely well from range. Earlier in the week, I said, listen, Ngannou is going to knock out Ciryl Gane. Though I believe Ciryl Gane is the technically best fighter in the heavyweight division probably ever, I just see Ngannou landing that punch on Gane. Let's see how they looked on the scales. Let's see if anything shifts on my side of things. There is Ciryl. He looks good. He looks ready. There is Ngannou. He looks good. He looks ready. When they faced off, you saw an intense but respectful stare down between two of the baddest men on the planet. I will say Ciryl Gane's a little bit taller than Francis. Range, both claim to be 83 inches on the reach of either side. They had their fun back and forth at the press conference talking about whether that left high kick knockout in sparring actually happened or not. Who knows? But we find out on Saturday who is the man in the heavyweight division. Even seeing how great Gane looks, I love Ciryl Gane. And it's hard to pick against a guy that I love as much as Gane. But, you know, on the contrary, I'm a huge fan of Francis Ngannou. So you got two of my favorite fighters in the UFC, regardless of weight class, facing off. I'm going to pick Ngannou for the knockout, but I'll definitely predict that Gane eventually holds that strap and may go down as the best heavyweight of all time. But right now, I think Ngannou's power is at a different level. His mind is in a great place. This is the ultimate prime. He knows winning this fight is the ultimate prize. Potential world championship title shots in boxing, big money fights that would potentially happen there. I'm going Ngannou, wins by KO. I think he defeats Ciryl Gane and puts on a huge performance. And I do think Gane gives him a difficult fight, though. He'll be there up until the end. I'm going second round knockout. Now, looking at the odds, Ngannou is an underdog, plus 130. Gane the favorite, minus 144, minus 145. If you like Ngannou to win by KO, the value of that is sitting at plus 160. On the opposite side, if you're on Ciryl Gane and you think, hey, he's going to win a decision, it's plus 300. If you just want Gane to win, you're still getting decent value at minus 140. But I like Ngannou, the underdog, plus 130, win by knockout. It'd be a hell of a fight. Overall, this is a pretty decent card. Unfortunately, losing some fights and not as stacked as it could have been. But I still think we are in store for some fantastic action. I can't wait for it. But before I send you off, let's jump to the parlays. We'll quickly do a couple of plays, nothing too crazy, but something that I know the people enjoy is the parlays. So let's say you're looking to throw down on a couple of fighters. I have to go Demopoulos as one of the fighters, Tony Gravely as another, plus 140, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to put Brandon Moreno on the line. That's plus 275, about plus 273. I think all these three do come through. I like this parlay a lot. If you want to get crazier and you say, I want the champion of the world, it gets plus 740 if you put him in there. If maybe you're not feeling doing that, but you still want to add in another fighter, I do like Michael Morales, plus 598. Jack Della Maddalena brings it a plus 385, and he's a pretty big favorite. I do expect him to get the win. I think maybe this is even a safer one than the other options. I like Jasudavicius as a dog if you're really going nuts, plus 1305. Overall, you can mix and match it and play with it however you want. Be cautious with your parlays. I like really 2-3 fighter maximum. I say this every week, but this is a fun Hail Mary style play that you could potentially do. Not saying go out and play this, but if you want to, there's an opportunity to make some potential cash or burn some money. I guess we'll find out on fight night. I cannot wait. We got great action coming. It is UFC 270. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's weigh-in recap show for UFC 270. Smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and turn those post notifications on. Don't miss the Fight Companion. I'll be live on the channel for the entire card with my friend Mike Finch. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace, guys.